How's it going, folks? Welcome back to another Ranger Talk episode. And today I'm going to be chatting with none other than the video game themed metal maestros themselves, none other than Super Monster Party. What's going on, guys?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. Look at that. They're ready for battle. They're ready for some House of the Dead. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you want to try that again? There you go.
Um,
It fell off. Yeah, there you go.
Cool. So yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Like I said, ready for some House of the Dead, or what's the other one? Virtual Cop. You know, all that good stuff.
Terminator 2.
Oh, Terminator
Dead.
2.
I was always a Time Splitters kid myself.
Time Splitters.
And
Oh,
what
nice.
was the other one? The one that's in every bowling alley. Time Crisis.
Time
Oh,
Crisis.
Time
Time
Crisis.
Time Crisis. Every bowling alley I went, I hate bowling, so I would always find my way to the nearest Time Crisis machine.
Yeah.
You know, somewhere. Yeah, definitely.
No,
A lot of
yeah, when
quarters
Time
left.
Crisis dropped, man, that blew my mind. Like you step on the pedal to take cover and come out, and it's just so neat.
Right.
Yeah, mind blowing.
That's more House of the Dead.
Yeah, I like the shotgun one.
Yeah.
That was 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
House of the
Three.
Dead.
Yeah, the one
Really?
where you get the little Uzi. I
That was
wasn't-
4, I think.
That was 4.
That was 4. Yeah, I think that was 4.
He's our resident video game nerd. So he's
Oh,
our
okay.
He's our historian. So if there's any information that needs to be fact checked, this guy will solve it. So
He's the one.
he's the guy. Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah, the
He'll correct you.
arborist or whatever. Yeah,
He'll correct me many times. So it's all good.
that's awesome. He verifies he fact checks the lyrics and everything to make sure it's correct.
He's the Google without the Google. So yeah, he's WebMDB. So yeah.
Awesome. So I guess first and foremost, how did you guys form up and create Super Monster Party?
So so Super Monster Party was something that I kind of always had in mind, like the idea of mixing video games with music. It wasn't until the pandemic hit that I was kind of bored at home and I started writing stuff, and then it just came from there. So it was just one of those things that within a span of like 2 weeks, I wrote like 22 songs. So like the first 2 albums, I released them in 3 months apart. The first 2 albums, yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So I wrote the stories, I wrote most of the compositions, everything. And then, yeah, that's basically it. And then the video game too. So within a span of 6 months, we had pretty much everything. So that's what we started out with.
That's insane. So you're the primary songwriter then?
So I've been the primary songwriter just till recently. And then now with Andy, we're kind of co-writing a lot of the stuff. And it's not just me. So it's like Emilio as well contributes a lot. Fernando contributes a lot. Now with Ben, he has his inputs as well. So it's a collaborative effort. Primarily, I've been the songwriter for the last 3 albums, but things are evolving a little bit, especially with the new sound, with This Is Doom and stuff. So we're transitioning a little bit more from the punk power metal-y kind of stuff into like a little more hard-hitting, death and thrash. There's always been influences of that, but it's more predominant now in the new material that we're writing. So
Cool. Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit later, that evolution of sound. But
Sure.
So in the band itself, instrument wise and whatnot, what do you guys do, the two of you?
So I sing
Mhm.
and I do some of the piano stuff and the orchestral arrangements. Emilio does pretty much all the bass and a good chunk of the orchestral arrangements. So a lot of the stuff you hear, that's all Emilio. He's a brainchild of that. Andy does a lot of the co-writing with me now. He does a little more of the rhythm guitar. Ben lead guitar, and then Fern the drums.
Awesome. And the name Super Monster Party, how did you come up with that?
So the name Super Monster Party is a combination of the Super Nintendo and then the game Monster Party. So you combine those together and you get Super Monster Party. I initially was going to call it Monster Party, and then I think the name was taken, And so I was like, oh, let me not risk it. And then so I just added Super in front of it, and Super Monster Party. I like it better. I think it sounds better. So
No, yeah, and now you know too. You're just the better version of whoever took Monster Party that name. You're just the better version of that. So
oh my God, I don't know. I think they were pretty cool. I think they were pretty cool.
yeah, no, fair
Uh,
enough.
yeah, I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah,
They're
it's
like
hard
more
to
like,
say that the Super Nintendo was better than the Nintendo. They both have their strengths and places.
oh no. The Super Nintendo was definitely better than the Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it just graphic wise.
There it is, right? You can't argue with
Now,
that.
now, was it better than the Sega Genesis? I don't know. I'm a Sega
I was
guy.
a Nintendo kid. My parents loved me.
Yeah, I know. I'm a
Yeah.
Sega guy still. I have all the Nintendo stuff here. I
I
have
know.
the whole system here of every console, but no, I like Super Nintendo, but I was a Genesis kid and a Sega Masters kid before that. So
Yeah,
I'm
same here.
impartial.
I played Genesis before I played Super Nintendo, so
Yep.
you know I'm kind of biased a little bit too, but I love both. Especially some of the Japanese imports you could get on the Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Some of that was awesome, but again, anywho, we could just be talking about this stuff forever.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Remember, the Genesis does what Nintendo.
That's right.
Super Nintendo has Mario, bro.
Yeah, we have Sonic.
Sonic controls like dog shit.
Oh.
Oh man,
I love
yeah.
Sonic. I'm like massive. I have Sonic Frontiers. I have Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Like I'm a massive Sonic fan, but it's apples to oranges in terms of control, man. Mario's tight precision platforming. Sonic is slippery and fast and fun. The blast processing, but
Right.
you know, either way, it's preference at the end of the day. It's preference.
It is.
It's a preference.
You know, the funny thing about it too is as a kid, I loved Sonic. You know, I played that on the Genesis like crazy, 1, 2, Sonic and Knuckles, all that. But
Right.
then when I got older and kind of revisited that, I felt those slippery controls and I was like, I suck. I do not like how this feels. But as a kid,
Right.
it just was like, this is a blast.
Right. Well, remember, as a kid, we're hyped up on soda, and Sonic was like the perfect game
Yeah,
to be
Yeah.
cracked out.
He was all attitude.
Right. Yeah. He was all
Yeah.
attitude. Yeah. So, yeah, no,
Yeah,
it
you
was
sit
cool.
there too
No,
long, he starts tapping his foot and stuff. Like, dude.
Right.
Like,
no, I was more like Sega. I wasn't really a big Sonic fan. I was more of like Altered Beast, which is really a port from the Masters and the arcade version, like Mystic Defender, like those types of games.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Mortal Kombat. If you played it on the Sega, you had the blood,
yeah.
whereas Super Nintendo did not. So there
Yeah.
were certain things you had. I think it was better sound
We had to do
quality.
the blood code, which was Abacab.
Oh yeah.
Which, fun fact, there was a hardcore band. I don't know if they're still around, but they were called Abacab.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really? Oh,
They were spelled like the Mortal Kombat.
That's
blood code.
awesome.
That's where they got their name.
That's
from.
awesome. I didn't know
Shout
that.
out to Abacab. Those guys were hard, man. Those
Yeah.
guys were awesome.
Look up Abacab now.
Dude, they're good. They're good.
Yeah,
They're
I know.
old, old school, like think like Madball hardcore, like real
Okay, we'll
punch
check it
in
out.
the face, like dick in the dirt hardcore.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
Cool.
That's fitting.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to name yourself that, it should be. It
Yeah,
should
it's gotta
you're
be- it's gotta
representing
be heavy.
something hardcore. So.
100%.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Cool. So I guess before we talk more about the music, since we're kind of really talking about games,
Sure.
you mentioned that Super Monster Party has their very own video game.
Yes.
How did that come about, and how does the game tie into the music?
So the idea, I was like, I always wanted to do a game that was kind of like retro in style. So with the help of a friend of mine named Sebastian, who's a great video game developer in Argentina, I kind of gave him the idea. I said, listen, I want something that's going to play like an RPG, dungeon crawler overhead, like old school Zelda kind of style.
Yeah.
So the idea was to create something that followed the narration in between the songs of the album, and it kind of puts the player in those worlds, and then you got to fight these monsters and stuff while still creating an originality so we don't get sued by the
Sure.
characters and stuff. So you go into the different worlds of like Resident Evil and Altered Beast and Streets of Rage and stuff like that, but in an RPG kind of playing style. The original one was really, really hard. I wanted something that was like an homage, right? That's the correct way of saying it,
Yeah,
to the old game. So like if you died, you could be in level 99, it'd take you right back to the first level.
yeah,
So the game is it's a very difficult game. There's different ways of playing it. There's different strategies of playing it. So I thought it was cool to do that, and then just kind of create every album, since the first one's always been an expansion pack. So it expands the world of the game, so you
wow,
continue playing. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Yeah,
that's
and then
so
now we
tight.
just started. Yeah, we just started doing. So we're about to start releasing Clone Hero songs, so people can play our songs on Clone
Yeah,
Hero and Guitar Hero. So we have those as well coming out. So that should be
sweet.
fun. Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, and so where can folks play this video game?
it's free to download. Just go to www.supermonsterparty.com and you can download it right on your PC.
Sweet. I'll put a link to that in the description down below for sure. Have
Thank
you
you.
guys ever thought about releasing like a card, like a special edition Genesis cartridge or Super Nintendo version, like a hard copy so people can play on their retro consoles?
Oh, you mean like these?
He's gonna grab the. He's gonna grab it.
He's gonna grab.
He has to do it on Super Nintendo because Super Nintendo cartridges hold more data.
Yeah, but Sega Genesis look cool. You mean like these?
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Look at that.
All our albums come in Sega Genesis boxes.
That is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So they always come in Sega Genesis boxes, so people can get the game. And if you notice, it says side quest expansion pack on it, and it always comes with posters. Yeah, so it comes like a full poster. It comes with an instruction manual, so that way you have the instruction manual and all that stuff. Yeah, so it's already there. Yeah, so we only do limited. So when I do an album, I usually print like 100 copies, and then when they
Yeah.
sell out, they sell out. I don't reprint them. So
Wow. So you got to get them, otherwise you're out of luck.
and we usually sell out. Yeah, so like the 3 albums that we had, they've always sold out. So we've never had an issue. People like them and they support us. So thank you guys out there that support us and do that.
Cool. So you can't get those anymore, the previous ones. If anybody wants one, they have to wait for the next album and get on it.
Or for somebody to hit on eBay.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen Permit F on eBay. So
Oh,
it's
that's
there.
awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's bittersweet. It's like, you want to get rid of my album, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, it's cool. It's holding up in value. So
And then you
that's
see
good.
the album that you sold going for 10 times more on eBay. It's like, wait, so could I start charging that much and people will like be buying it,
Oh, I'll never do that. Like the last
I
album that
know.
we did, I had to build everything by hand. So I had to have everything printed. I cut everything myself,
Wow.
modify everything. Yeah. So it took me a long time, but I got it done. But yeah, so I usually do everything DIY. I try to do as much as I can by myself. But no, what I try to do is I'll contact those eBay sellers and I'll be like, hey man, you think you can get that for a discounted rate?
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't know who it is. And they're like, no, man, this is the value going forward. I can't do that. Like, yeah, well, I kind of created that. So I was hoping that I can get it. But no, it's cool. It's all good.
Great. Yeah, what a collector's
Yeah.
item, man. That's definitely something that folks need to be on the lookout for going forward. If you want one of those bad boys, get on it or go on eBay. But
Yeah. Don't
yeah.
go on eBay. But yes, buy from me. That'll be better.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So talking about the evolution of the sound,
Right.
you're talking about it, it really kind of started out with a punk / power metal vibe, and it's
Right.
progressed since then. So could you just kind of talk about how that evolution took place to where you kind of are now and where maybe you will go going forward?
Yeah, so initially I always had like the idea that the band was going to be more of a like a punk band. I've always been influenced by metal, but I always I started experimenting in the early 2000s with the idea of mixing punk and power metal together, because if you really look at the meat and potatoes of both types of music, not talking about obviously like the progressive style, but if you go to the basics, it's all based on 3 and 4 chord progressions. power metal is based on 3/4 chord progressions, usually major chords, that type of stuff, which is the same thing with melodic punk, like the Misfits and Ramones and stuff like that. So I always felt the challenge was, how can you mix the dynamics of punk, which is more open chords, which with more of the like, kind of like pick strumming and stuff like that you do with like heavy metal and power metal. So I kind of started influencing the both. One of the bands that I grew up listening to was Rhapsody. So I've always loved Rhapsody before they were Rhapsody of Fire and Rhapsody whatever band. So I always loved those songs. So I always wanted to incorporate an element of the symphonic. I thought the symphonic, when you come to video games, you think of epic scores. So you kind of do that. So every song, if you listen to the albums, every song has a different sound and a different approach to it. So I look at things from the perspective of, if I was hired, or if my band was hired to be on a soundtrack for that video game, if it had a movie, how would I approach that? So it's from the perspective of the villain, it could be from the perspective of the hero, but it's always from the perspective of an individual. And in the sense that all my songs have double meaning. So the songs, like if you listen to Another Castle, for example, it's a song about Mario, but the reality of it is that the connection is about anyone that has lost somebody, in the sense that, they've left you for somebody else and they're miserable and you're miserable, but you're trying to find each other. So all my songs have double meaning. So you can find the nostalgia in the song, but you can also find the connection. If you don't know the video game, you can do that. So that was kind of the approach on the first album, and then the narrations were a certain thing. And then people really liked the narration. So people really were buying the albums because they wanted to continue the story. So we started going a little bit more. So on the second album, we got like Amy Brown, who she's done like Chronicles of Narnia, stuff like that. And so she narrates it as the Oracle. And then so we started evolving the story. And so the second album, I started experimenting a little bit more. So the sound kind of changes a little bit more. By the third album, I really kind of said, you know what, I'm going to open up the spectrum of music. So it's not going to be so like, this type of music or this type of metal. I'm going to open it up a little bit more. I'm going to experiment. There's still like elements of punk and there's still power metal stuff, but it's all kind of mixed in the music. So I did that. When Andy came in a couple of months ago, he kind of presented the song and he was like, hey man, listen, like this is a song that I've been working on. And I said, all right, cool. So I kind of looked at it and then I kind of do it from like my producer side. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's not use this. Let's use this. Let's change this. I think this chorus would be better for this. And we mix it up, we come it together, and then we give it to Emilio, and then he polishes it up, and then it goes to mixing and mastering. So the process is relatively the same, with the difference now is that with Andy, it's a lot easier to co-write, so everything, the whole responsibility doesn't fall on me, or the majority of the responsibility doesn't fall on me. He will present a lot of cool ideas. And another thing we're doing is some of the older songs, we're redoing them now with a new, heavier approach to it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's another thing that me and Andy are kind of working on, and with certain songs like Test Your Might and stuff like that we're adding a more heavier edge to it. So we're really excited about that. So yeah, the evolution kind of started one way, and then it's kind of evolved because what happens is, like, I'll write a song and then the song has a certain dynamic, and I'm like, oh, but then the people that like power metal won't like it. And then I'm like, well, you know what? Fuck them. If they like it, they'll like it. If they don't like it, they don't like it.
Yeah.
And so then, all right, cool. So now we're writing like a little death metal-y. Okay, cool. And then like we have a song called Dead Space. It's like it goes all black metal in one part, and so I don't like to be confined. I just, whatever the song is, I like to write as a love letter to these games. Like Doom is a heavy game. The soundtracks have always been predominantly heavy.
Oh yeah.
And so even like with Mick Gordon, with the stuff that he did with Doom Eternal,
Genius.
right, which is freaking amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But even from the original Doom, with the John Romero stuff, it still had a very
It did.
In the Army of the Dead.
right. Yeah, it was metal. And
Very edgy.
John Romero, John is a metalhead, which is great. John's like the biggest metalhead. So and yeah, he's been super cool too. He's been super supportive as well. And
Awesome.
yeah, so that's awesome to when one of the co-creators of the game is like, hey man, this is awesome, and tweets about it. That's
Wow.
that's great. So yeah, man. I mean, it stays the same. It's all about the thing. I think I already have the next two albums already. As far as story arc is concerned, they're already there, and I have a list of songs that I want to touch on. I get texts all the time or messages, and hey man, you should write about this song, or you should write about this song. And
Oh,
it's
I'm
like,
sure.
right. But I don't ever try to write. And Andy will tell you. So like, whatever you think the idea is, it usually ends up not being it.
100%.
Yeah. So like this song, Andy's like, oh, I think it's like Kingdom Hearts.
Because I based the opening, the Battle with a Thousand Heartless has a snare count like dun, 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 dun. So I kind of played off that, and then a little bit of Dimebag Daryl off Fucking Hostile by Pantera, and a little bit of Death Clock, kind of like pinging those three things back and forth. And I was thinking Kingdom Hearts just because of that, Battle of the Thousand Heartless. And that's that when I pitched him the song, that's what I was going for. He's like, yeah, sure. And then he's like, hey, you like Doom, right? I'm like, yeah, I guess, yeah, I do. I love Doom, but it's like one of the best shooters ever made.
Yeah. I was writing in the car, and I was like, I don't like that. I don't like what we have for the chorus. I think it'd be cool to just do like a Doom, like, this is Doom. And so I came back and I was like, all right, Andy, let's erase the chorus and then do this. And then he's like, he did it, and it matched perfectly what we had. So then it was just, once we had that, we're like, all right, the song's about Doom. Sorry, there's no Kingdom Hearts right now. It's about Doom. We'll get to a Kingdom Hearts song. There's so many songs like Test Your Might, which is the Mortal Kombat song that we have. Initially was going to be something else, and then it fit better with the Mortal Kombat stuff. So it went Mortal Kombat. All the songs are like that. Earthworm Jim was like that. It was supposed to be something else, and then it didn't. Solid Snake was supposed to be Mega Man. It didn't end up being Mega Man.
That's fascinating that these.
Yeah. Just because I when I hear the song, I think of the game, and I try to pinpoint what matches, like the element. Like if you listen to Solid Snake, it's got like that espionage kind of type of like electronic, which is very much with the Metal Gear, where they deal a lot with like the whole technological advancements and government warfare, and and all that stuff. So I liked it like that. So that was kind of where Earthworm Jim is more of a straight up heavy metal, and we added elements of the thing. We're working on another one for Dance Dance Revolution, which is
it's really gnarly, I bet.
Oh yeah, it's fun. People always are like, we don't know how the hell you're going to make a metal song about Dance Dance Revolution, but I think we figured it out. So I think we have it.
I mean, there is a couple metal tracks. There is one famous metal track in DDR. It's called Dragon Blade.
Right, but it still has like an
instrumental, but it's very power metal. Like it's straight up like
right, but it's still dancey. It's still
it's. Have you listened to it recently?
Well,
it's pretty metal. Like when I was like just watching my friend play it in like the movie theater thing, I'm like, huh? Like you have really cute J-pop and Japanese pop and Livin' La Vida Loca, and then you have Dragon Blade out of nowhere.
But you have to remember, we don't look like two guys that play a lot of DDR. So
I used to live in the DDR.
Yeah.
I need to check that out. Dragon Blade. I don't remember that one.
That one's off of Ultramix.
Okay.
DDR Ultramix.
He knows everything.
He
knows everything. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, Ultramix. And I don't know what PS2 one. It might have been Ultramix Volume 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Also, one of my closest friends growing up had scores and scores of like the DDR PS2 games. So he just had them all. He was a massive. He spent like over $2,000 on a custom cabinet. That's like one of the only games he played.
So yeah, he knows a lot.
Yeah, I bet. Like, wow. I remember there were some edgy songs in DDR. A lot of it was kind of like the J-pop, but then you had there was one in particular that I used to really like. What was it called? Not Granite or it was in the vein of kind of like a Pendulum. I think.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Was it A and AAA?
I
It
don't
was like a
remember.
really
Yeah,
there's a
but I
song
think
called A, and then there was double A and triple A, and they were like the hardest songs on heavy.
yeah,
And they
there
were
were
kind
some
of like
gnarly
that. They were
ones.
like an Apex Twin or Pendulum, like something like that.
Pendulum.
They're really like really intense techno, really crazy stuff.
Yeah,
That's yeah, it's it's funny. It's funny. They're weird, but we're like Skinny Puppy.
Yeah.
they had Skinny Puppy in there.
No, not that I
Oh,
remember.
but you're talking like kind of like it, yeah,
Yeah,
like
in the
industrial,
same vein.
almost techno. Yeah,
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 that's
yeah,
dead on, man.
definitely.
If I
I mean,
tried to
there's a
play
lot of
DDR now, I'd collapse. I
yeah, I
just
know.
can't do it
I'm
anymore.
sure I'd be like,
Just
It'd be
getting
the
on, just getting on the damn platform, I'd probably pass out.
yeah. There's only like
just
one
stepping
place I
up.
know that has.
Yeah, just getting on and shit.
There's only one place I know that has a platform anymore is Arcade Odyssey.
No, there's Flynn's Arcade here.
Oh, Flynn's
located.
Arcade. That's right. Flynn's has one
Yeah,
too.
my boy Flynn, Eddie at Flynn's Arcade. He's always been really cool to us, and so yeah, so he's got everything there too.
He's got a bunch of stuff. That's
He's
right.
got everything there.
That's awesome. Yeah, you know, one quick final hot take on DDR before we move on is I hate personally the diagonal ones.
Oh,
You know, where the arrows are diagonal.
That's Beat Mania, I think.
Is it? Yeah,
I think that's called Beat Mania. Yeah, it's the one where it's a platform in the middle and then diagonally up and down or
yeah, it's
forward and
not
back.
horizontal
Yeah.
and vertical, and so that
Yeah,
just
it's no, I don't think it's called Beat Mania. I think it's called like I know what you're talking about because at Arcade Odyssey, the place I was talking about before, they have a similar. They have literally right next to the DDR one.
Yeah, they have to do that because they can't. It's proprietary. The
Oh,
DDR
gotcha.
is proprietary, so they can't do that. They'll get sued.
Oh wow, I see. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have them both. Well, no, they have them both.
No, they have to have both, but the companies can't do it the same pattern style.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. They patented that specific.
That's crazy.
Well-
You can patent like just having the arrows like on the vertical and
Well, I mean,
horizontal.
look at Guitar Freaks and Guitar Hero.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because Konami was doing Guitar Freaks like over a decade before
That's true.
Activision and Harmonix was doing Guitar Hero.
Right.
And the controllers are very similar, just 5 buttons instead of 3,
Right.
and the colors are different. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, essentially, if you really look at a Guitar Freaks controller, like a Japanese one, and an American Guitar Hero guitar,
Right.
from 1, 2, and 3, like this the similarities
Right.
are boundless.
Right.
That's wild. No, that is
Yeah.
wild. But yeah, no, I actually listened to all of the albums because I listened to Permadeath,
Oh,
and I was impressed because that fusion you're talking about with the punk and the power metal, it works. It really does work, and you can see kind of how it flows, from one to the other, and then that progression all the way throughout. But getting the story, all the way through. And then another thing I love too is for anybody who's like really into video games, in addition to just metal, there are so many fun little Easter eggs or things in the lyrics that are sometimes deep cuts of like the video game where you really have to know the video game to appreciate, kind of what you're saying. And it's just so much fun. There's
right.
so many moments. Not only am I headbanging and enjoying the song, and then I'll hear a lyric and it just brings a smile on my face. It's like, wow, that is so cool. Like, it's not just on the surface. You can tell that you guys are really into these games and really know these games. And it's not just like on a very surface level. I'm talking about Resident Evil and zombies, Raccoon City. That's the end of it. No, I mean, there's
Right.
some really great deep stuff that you can find and enjoy in there for lovers of the games. And it lends a lot to the authenticity. And so that's really cool. And it's really cool to hear you talking about all this because you're so authentic with how you go about everything and creating the sounds for the games. So I was going to ask, you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but how do you exactly decide? I know you're saying people, I'm sure, constantly do this video game, please do that video game. And it's like, I can't do all of them. So how do you decide which video game to focus on, even though it may become another one? But what makes you be like, let's do this. Let's do DDR. Like, what makes you want to do certain games?
Well, so the first album, I really wanted to do games that were cartridge based. If you start noticing on the second album, the evolution is that it's cartridge and disc based. And then on the third album, it's primarily CD based. So
Nice.
what happens is that the source of the Game Genie's power was the cartridges. When you took away the cartridges, he loses away his ability.
That's
So that's
awesome.
so that's kind of the gist of it. So with Game Genie, it was almost like the evolution of the cartridges are kind of disappearing because now a lot of these games, Dead Space,
Yeah.
God of War,
Yeah.
Destroy All Humans, like a
Yeah.
lot of these games are based on CD based games.
Awesome.
So there was that connection there on there. But yeah, I don't ever have a set list of songs. Like it's honestly, it's whatever the song is written, then I will add a chorus. Sometimes I have an idea and I'll just say it, and I'm like Doom. Like Doom was the chorus was written because I was driving around and I was like Doom, and I always had this idea. I was like, oh yeah, man. Like if I have a song about Doom, I'm just gonna say Doom. Like is that like that's really what it is. So
Yeah.
then when Andy came and I was like, all right, cool. I think I have this idea. Like how can I make it work within the key of the song? This that,
Mhm.
and I did that. Certain other songs like Altered Beast, it just happened. Like I was just, blah 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 blah, and the lyrics just kind of came out.
That's
Like
one of my
Super Ghouls.
favorites, Altered Beast. Oh, that song is so sick.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, thank you. So yeah, so Altered Beast, like Monster Party. If you notice, the chorus had a very punky type chorus, which is essentially punk chorus is typically just repeat the same name of
Yeah.
something. So like
Yeah.
so Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Ghouls, Altered Beast,
Yeah.
Monster Party, Firehouse, Fire. So then that had that. But yeah, there's really no like I don't have like a set list of songs to say I really want to write about this, and this, that.
Mhm.
They kind of just happen. And
Yeah.
then the fun part is once you have all these songs, let's say I write like 10 to 13 songs. I think the first album has like 13 songs.
Yeah.
Then the trick is to say, okay, I have a story of how I want it to progress. Then I pick the songs in the order that I want, and then I will alter that story so it ends where it left off, whatever song it is, and then wherever it's going to go, and then how it connects. So from like, in the second album, I go from Hyrule to the world of The Last of Us.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden, there's stalkers inside Hyrule. So so it's cool. It's like it's one of those things where it's like, especially with the second and third album, it was one of those things where I wanted people to be able to close their eyes and imagine like they're there, almost like an audiobook.
Yeah.
So that's really what it is. So yeah, there's really no connection between the songs. That comes after, but as far as the songwriting goes, no, there's absolutely no set list. Like there are some times where I'll mess with stuff, so I might try something, let's say with like Golden Axe
Yeah.
or a different
Sweet.
game, and I'll see if it works, and maybe it works, it doesn't work. Sometimes I think it'll work great, but then it verses end up being better with a certain thing, so I'll do it that way. But yeah,
Gotcha.
there's never ever been a song that was written specifically with the idea that it's going to be. Every time I've tried to do that, it never ends up happening.
That's
So
hilarious.
I just don't do it. It's easier not to do it. So even
Yeah.
with DDR was a song that I wrote that was supposed to be a song about Michael Myers.
Really?
Yeah, and
Wow.
yeah, and then
So
it
you're gonna
ended up.
branch off a little bit into movie space, huh?
Well, yeah, I used to do a little bit of that, and like kind of mix like punk with horror music and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
Oh, I think I lost you guys. I think I lost you guys. The mic. Hey. Yeah, sorry, I think I lost you guys with the mic. It kind of.
oh, okay, no. I was saying that with the DDR song, it was one of those where I kind of had an idea, and then as it started evolving, I started showing it to Andy, and it started evolving. He started adding his 5 cents into it, adding his type of rhythmic guitars and stuff like that, and then it kind of evolved into what it is now. And so it was it was a song that I already had,
Yeah.
so it was different. But if you heard that what I had and what I have now, it's way different. The two different two different things, two different worlds. You wouldn't even be able to cross both unless with yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. There's no science to it. It's just writing whatever music. Simple writing. Don't overthink things. Don't go crazy. We're not technical. We're not here to write a 10-hour masterpiece. Not like, Emilio plays with Ingve, so I've seen him on shows doing like 25-minute songs, and
Jeez. That would
yeah.
have to be like Elden Ring or something like that, right? A 25-minute long
Oh,
one of
I'm
those
begging
games
you.
that are hundreds of hours long.
I'm begging you.
Yeah,
I'm begging.
like
I'm
the
begging for an Elden Ring song.
like
so
the
bad.
like the Opeth homage to
Yeah, dude,
everything. Yeah.
dude, we can call it tarnished. I don't care. We can call it maidenless. I don't care. I'm a massive Elden Ring fan. Huge. Big fan.
I just think I also like the challenge of writing a song about something that people don't really think that somebody would ever write a song about.
Yeah.
Like I just think like if you look at it online, I'm sure there's a Mega Man inspired song. I'm sure there's a Resident Evil inspired song. I'm sure there's a bunch of songs that are already like people have inspired to write about it. The trick is writing stuff like Monster Party, like what Splatterhouse, the Super Ghouls and Ghosts, like
Killer 7.
right, like those types of things are different. Like Kingdom Hearts, there's a lot of bands out there that have wrote songs inspired by Kingdom Hearts because it's
Halo. There's a ton of songs
I'm
about
sure
man.
about Halo, yeah, all that stuff.
Escape the Fates, the Flood is about the flood from Halo.
There you go. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff. So I like the idea of just like an obscure song that a lot of people don't know, and then writing something about that. Like I just think like I wrote a song about Fright Night,
Right.
that's like so I like that. I like that better. Like Monster Party is like not a real known game. Like some of the older people know Monster Party, but it was never a big game. It wasn't really out long because they were getting sued left and right from everybody because they essentially made all the characters look like famous like characters. So they were like that game was never even really promoted well. So that to me is there's more fun in that. And then once you find that, then how can you find the humanity in the song? So like the Cap Attack, that's a very obscure game for people on the Sega Genesis, right? So, but the whole thing is about how he gets a second opportunity at life from Dr. Frankenstein, and his sole purpose is to try to unite all the all the lands back together, which are essentially Abdominland and Armland and all these things. So Tibuland and stuff like that. So it's fine. That's why the song says, just want to reclaim my humanity, because at the end of the game, he turns back into a boy.
Right.
So he gets his life back. So
awesome.
that's kind of I think that's really the challenge. And that's the fun part in the song. Like anyone could sit there and write songs about stuff, or anyone could do covers, not taking away. There's a lot of awesome bands that do video game covers, and they do amazing renditions of video game covers or different covers, but they're given the basically the tabs.
You're right. Then you just kind of alter that a bit.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. They do creative ways. Right. Ben's band Power Glove, I mean, probably predominantly the most famous band that has done it. They do it, and they've created their own original twist to those songs.
Yeah.
I just always like I think there's a lot of that already. I'd like to do something a little bit off the beaten path. And I have friends that do that. They do anime, they do original songs on anime, or do songs like that. But again, it's the challenge and I think the creativeness of being able to put yourself into perspective. I think that's the beauty of it, just as songwriting. I think, and then having it like I've had people listen to the song and be like, oh man, that's a really, really sad song. That reminds me of when I went through this. And then I go, well, did you know that song's about Mario? No. Oh, wow. Okay, I've jumped off the edge again. I'm on my final life. Right. So it's like, all right, cool. I get it. I didn't think about it. Yeah. So I think that's the payoff. Like that's really the payoff as a musician, that people can connect to that song, whether it's through the nostalgic aspect of it or through the connection as a personal connection with that song. So
that's really fascinating that each song has kind of that double meaning, that nostalgia, and then also more of maybe like a real life kind of emotional connection or what have you. but
Right.
then you're also weaving a story throughout all these different games. You know, it's not just individual, like, oh, I'm just doing this video game and then this video game. Like, you're connecting this thread kind of all the way throughout. So it's just really, really
Right. Thank you.
how you're doing that. It goes really above and beyond to like how you're saying of a band just doing a themed song based off a video game and that's it, whether it's original or not. But what you're doing
Right.
is going beyond that. And that's something special, you know, that really stands out.
Right.
Talking about like your latest release, This Is Doom, you know,
Right.
again, like you said, you wanted to just say Doom, you know, which is just very in your face, which the game is. Like, the game
Right.
does not hold anything back or hide anything. Like, it's in your face, you know. So
Right.
This Is Doom. It fits very, very well, and I
Right.
love about it. And I wanted to talk about the music video too. Because
Right.
how did you guys put that together, and how much fun was it? Like, putting yourselves in the game, blasting the demons, like while you're all screaming, "This is Doom," and like, what was that like?
So I've always had the idea that all our videos has to be in some sort of element within the game. So I think that that's important. I thought Doom was a good song, but it needed that visual. It needed that visual. What's the word? The
Flair.
flair. The visual flair
There
to
you
really
go.
sell. I like that. Flair. To really kind of sell you on the song as a package. And so I always had the idea of inserting ourselves in the video game. I think that's really
Mhm.
cool to
Yeah.
do that. So I kind of started doing my research on it. We didn't really have a lot of time. We were like, we have a good song. We want to release a video for it. So I got together with my friend Brandon from Step One Studios, and then my friend Larry, who's a special effects artist for TV shows and stuff like that.
Wow.
And we kind of came up with this idea, this concept. So I kind of told Brandon what I wanted as far as like the visuals of the band playing live and the games. I also got a lot of sprites done from my friend Aaron, who did a lot of the facial things.
Yeah.
So he was responsible for that. He does a lot of sprites and stuff. He's awesome. And then we use all of John Romero's original sprites. So those are all his from the game.
Yeah.
Everything's from 1993, and the team was able to literally redo everything and make them come out from everywhere and all this other stuff. I spent like 3 months, I think, working on prop weapons. So I built all the prop weapons. I built the BMG. I built all that stuff, and so it was a process. The video, we shot everything in one day. It wasn't as fun. I mean, it was cool, but it was just a very long day.
8.5 hours.
8.5
Wow.
hours. And then get dumped by 10 gallons of blood.
Yeah, you got
Was not fun.
soaked through his socks.
Yes.
In
Yes.
the
Oh.
fake blood.
Yes.
And it's not like it's like water, like it's thick. It's like a corn syrup.
Yeah.
It's viscous.
And it
Yeah.
smells after a while. Too.
Yeah,
It's like a rank ass.
I think for like a month I was still cleaning
No,
from my
I
ears.
saw you like the week after the video, and you still had like red on your chest and your neckline right here.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow, dude, I'm glad I'm not the leader of this shit.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
And then
You got the
worst part-
full immersive Slayer experience. That must be
Yeah.
how he feels after his
Yeah. So
journey.
100%.
well, so that's real. That's real. Like that scene is real. Like it's a real
yeah,
scene.
with the practical effects.
Yeah, it was real, and then I realized shortly after that 10 gallons of blood dumped on me that I didn't need to wear my shoes because they weren't in frame.
Yeah.
So I totally messed up my shoes.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that kind of sucked, but yeah, no, it was. I mean, looking back, it was a cool experience, I would say.
But
Right?
no, I had mostly fun. You know, like
mostly
the
fun.
green room was nice. You know,
Right.
a couple of cold beers in there if you want to relax. But I don't want to really drink beer at 8 a.m.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I want to just get filming, and
Yeah.
we're like, once lunchtime rolls around, you're like,
Yeah,
am I in this scene? No, all right,
yeah.
I'm good.
But it was cool. Yeah, because we had to shoot everything double. So we shot the scene regularly, and then we shot it again we were all full of blood. Then we
Oh
came back and reshot
man.
it again. So then we were all like sticky and full blood, and then we like had to like replay everything with our instruments and everything. So yeah, but it was, and then there was like a kids recital happening literally in the next studio,
Yeah.
and we're like screaming
We're
and,
like
and talking
screaming,
about
like,
Satan
I mean,
and
everything,
doom
like,
and blood and this and that and
semen,
right,
like we're just like saying like the
yeah,
like the nastiest,
right,
like dirtiest shit we could
yeah,
possibly think because we're just like a bunch of like idiots, I
yeah,
guess,
yeah,
shooting a music video just
with
like
children on the other side, and
saying stupid shit.
we told the promoter, we're like, hey man, I don't know if you should double book this because
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
brutal. And he's like, no, it's fine, man. These kids are great. I said, okay,
Okay,
cool,
they're-
that's good.
They're gonna get fucked up.
They're gonna learn a thing
Yeah.
or two tonight.
Yeah,
So,
they're gonna
but
have
yeah, no, it
to
was,
see therapists, after
yeah,
that. But
they all got to do it. So
that's awesome.
yeah, but yeah, that was it.
Yeah, it was a nice solid 8-9 hours of filming and playing to the backing track. The only thing that really drove me nuts was when they were putting the backing track on. It was so loud I couldn't even think straight because it has to be. It has to be louder basically than anything. Like
Yeah.
really like, and it's like a big sound stage. It's huge.
Right.
Like it's like the size of like a small house. It's massive.
No, it's bigger than that. It's like
It's like
it was like 8,000 square feet. It was a big, gigantic location. So we shot it in different areas. So we had like one area for this, one area for green screen. Like, so there was multiple areas. So we had it all kind of spread out. So it gave us room to just kind of go here, here,
Yeah.
here. So it made the process go faster. But yeah, it's exhausting because you wake up early, you're doing it, but you look at the end result, and then then it's like a whole month of editing and production and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they worked really hard. So the guy, Brandon, Larry, they worked really hard. They worked around the clock. We're continuing working on a bunch of new videos. So we have like a DDR video, we have a Mortal Kombat
sweet.
video. Yeah, so
Oh,
we
nice.
yeah, can't say too much about those, but
Of course.
yeah, but we'll be in the game. I'll leave it at that.
Awesome.
So,
Oh
yeah.
man, can't wait for the Mortal Kombat one. That's gonna be tight. But it's so
Yeah.
easy, I think, for folks, myself included, to not realize, all you see is the end result. Like all we see is the Doom music video, and it looks like
Right.
a blast and this and that. And you forget how much work not only do you guys go through, but other folks editing. And I mean, it's gnarly. And we just see this snippet, and it's just fun, but so much work and effort went into it. So it's always cool to hear the backstory behind, everything and see how it all paid off. One more thing I want to ask about too with the Doom is how did you guys get Angry Video Game Nerd involved in that? And how cool was that? Because that was another special treat that I think a lot of people were like, wow.
So I like to consider James a friend by this point now.
Yeah.
So we met last year at Too Many Games Festival, which is one of the best video game themed conventions out there. So they were gracious enough to invite us, and we got to play with James. Plays in a band called Rex Viper, which they do kind of like a mixture of like video games and 80s theme songs, and they kind of mix them together.
Yeah.
And then we also got to play with Psycho Stick, which is an awesome, fantastic band.
Yeah.
Super nice guys and super energetic. Like just watching them perform, I learned so much about their audience interaction and just like four guys just having fun.
Wow,
right. Like that. Like I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I stayed in touch with a lot of the Rex Viper guys. So I talked to a lot of them, and they've been really awesome with us and supportive, and James too. And me and James communicate, and I told James kind of the idea, like this is kind of the idea. And I remember one of his episodes was dedicated to Doom and how he loved the game.
Episode. Yeah.
Right. And I told him, I said, listen, man, like I know you really like this game, and I think it'd be cool to have you kind of just come in and like you're doing the video game stuff, and you're kind of so sidetrack. So when we were in Philly for the show, I was trying to get James to get on camera and be like, oh, Super Monster Party sucks dick or some shit like that.
Yeah.
and James is honestly like one of the nicest guys on the face of the earth.
Awesome.
Like he's awesome. And he was like, no, man, I don't want to do that. He's got that like little smirk. And I was like, nah, man, it would be an honor, James, if you fucking shit on Super Monster Bros. So he
Right.
did it. Yeah, he did it. And but I was like, oh man, like if you were the angry video game nerd and you were picking up one of our version of the thing. So
Yeah.
I told him that and I sent him the song and he heard it and he was like, this song's fucking awesome. And he was like, I'd love to be part of it.
Sweet.
So I did that. And so he was part of it. And then I asked Glenn Fricker from Spectrum Media Group. And so I asked him if he would do it. And he was like, yeah, fuck yeah. He said, I love to do it. And we got to hang out with Glenn. Glenn was here at my house for 70 tons of metal.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So I picked him up and Alex and a bunch of other people, and we hung out here, and so we really connected. And Doug and so Glenn's also been a big supporter of us. So when I asked him, he said yes, I'll do it. So and he was super busy juggling a million things, and he took the time to do it for me. So having those two guys, and they were big. So when we were writing the first album, I think I told James this. I don't know if I told Glenn this, but when we were writing the first album, me and Emilio had like Angry Video Game Nerd, and like we would watch Glenn's videos in between. So because we would like laugh or whatever, and so we would watch that. So I thought it was really fitting for this first video and this new chapter to kind of have those two guys there. So it was great to have that, have those two there. But yeah, James was just ask him. A lot of people are like, "Oh, did you pay him or did you do that?" No, he did that out of the kindness of his own heart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
cool.
he did that out of his yeah. So I consider James a good friend. I think the entire guys in Rex Viper are amazing guys, and they're super talented. These are guys that are all they're all video game guys. Like they all work in some sort of capacity. One of them does video game drum covers. Adam does he does art, he does pixel art, James obviously. So all the guys are kind of like involved in that world. So yeah, these guys are video game guys as well, so it's always good to kind of connect with them. But yeah, that was it. I was just asked him. I asked him and he said yes. So
how cool is that? And the icing on the cake too, at the end of the video, I love the LJN logo, just inspired. I love that. Anyone who watches Angry Video Game Nerd must have just fallen out of their chair. I mean, it just gold. I love it.
Yeah, I did that as a little surprise for James.
So that was you.
Yeah, that was me. I did that as a little surprise. Yeah, I did that as a little surprise to James because obviously his history with the greatest developer in the video game history. But yeah, no, that was cool. That was because when James shot so much footage that we're like, this is not going to be a cameo. I think we could do like a whole intro and everything else. Yeah. So we used a lot of the footage and then we just kind of edited it to make it look like he was shitting his brains out because he saw the LGN logo. So yeah, so that was just like a little touch there. I thought it'd be funny.
So good. So
yeah.
Last question, I guess, is are you guys going on any tours or anything soon? Anything on the horizon? You gonna be playing live?
Yeah, so we're doing our first major show with the lineup is going to be at Classic Game Fest in Austin, Texas. Okay. I believe it's Saturday, July 23rd. I believe is when we're playing. So we'll only be there for one day, and then that'll be our first show officially with Ben on guitar, lead guitar. And then so that'll be it. We're doing like a little local show here, but more like a practice run kind of thing.
Gotcha.
We're talking about doing South America as well for September. Wow. We're trying to see if we finalize that. We'd love to play there, but nowadays logistics and the cost of things is more expensive to tour. So yeah,
rough.
So maybe if we're not on a label, we do everything ourselves. So everything's self-funded. So we don't have a lot of money to do a lot of things. So like the armor, all that stuff is all created by me. So so there's only so many hands and so much money.
Yeah.
to do. So, but yeah, we hope that we can get on some shows. Glenn's talked to us about doing the 70 tons of metal, and
That would be
hopefully,
amazing.
yeah, that'd be great. That'd be awesome if we can do it. So we'll see. We're a fairly new band. We've been around for 3 years, but because of COVID, it really hurt us as far as visibility.
Yeah.
Now it's a little easier for us to play shows and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I'm very selective of shows. I don't do a lot of shows, just because our schedules. Everyone is touring all the time, so it's
Gotcha.
hard to to really um, dedicate 2 or 3 weeks and go on tour.
Yeah.
Emilio's on tour, Ben's on tour now, or Fernando's on tour. Like Fernando's going on tour with Lita Strauss, so he'll be on tour
Wow.
for a while. Yeah, so he'll be on tour with her for a while. So it's just he comes out of that tour, and then he's meeting us in Austin for a show. So it's
Wow.
yeah. Fern's another guy that he doesn't get a lot of credit, but I mean he's a phenomenal drummer. Like all the crazy stuff that I write on a drum machine with
Yeah.
Emilio, like he'll either like do it exactly or he'll exceed it. I don't know how, but he does it. So Fernando's a beast. He's a beast. He's been a big plus for us as well. So he doesn't get enough credit. So
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you guys just really enjoy what you're doing, and there's already a wealth of material that folks can already check out. What, 3 albums already, right?
right,
More stuff on the way, and
right.
so yeah, just really cool. Thank you guys again so much for taking the time to chat with me. I've had a blast, absolute blast. And thank you everyone who's tuned in to watch this. I'm going to put all of Super Monster Party's social media stuff in the description down below, as well as links to music videos, so you can check that out. Go follow them so you can keep in touch. Make sure you know when they're releasing new material, all that good stuff, and also be on the lookout for whenever they release a new album. You can get one of those snazzy collector's editions before they go. Yes, let's see that again. Oh, look at that. Glorious. Beautiful. Yes. we need that in Legend of Zelda, we need that music when he opens the chest, as he raise up the there it is. But yeah, so yeah, follow them, keep tabs on them, listen to any of their 3 albums that are released already, listen to all of them, and
Please.
all that good stuff. And thank you folks for tuning in. Thank you guys once more, and I'll catch you all next time. Ranger out.